Okay, I believe we should be live now. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Well, hopefully my audio is good. Let me do some checks here. Yep, says my audio is working. So I should be, you guys should be hearing me now. How's it going, everyone? My name is Mitchell Mander, and welcome to my live discussion of Pokemon Horizons episode 76, meeting a former member of the Rising Volt-Tacklers, Sohdayo. Not really sure where we're at. I'm gonna just assume we're in Paldea or something, since we have one Paldean Pokemon, and then the other Pokemon technically was introduced in Indigo Disc, but whatever. We'll just say for all intents and purposes they're in Paldea, I guess. Not specified where we're at. But yeah, so if you're someone that's new here and you're coming across this stream for the first time, usually what we do here, usually give it a couple minutes for people to kind of show up, then talk to the chat for a little bit, and then about 5-10 minutes in, I'll start giving a summary. This episode, I don't know if I'm going to do like a full-on summary because, well, this is one of those episodes that's kind of more basic, so to say. But usually I give a summary of the episode, you know, talk about what I liked and disliked from the episode, and then assign a rating, then I hand it over to the chat, and then we just talk about whatever at that point. Let the chat decide what the episode should be rated. But besides that, the music you hear in the background comes from a separate stream, Video Game Study Lounge from Game Chops. Listen to it when I'm studying, working out, just need something to listen to. I'm working, I need something to distract me from the workday. It's basically lo-fi remixes of video game music along with some originals there, so links in the description if you want to check that out sometime. And also, it would be pretty cool if you're here and you're new, if you sub to the channel and like the video, like the stream, all that good stuff. So, yeah. Anywho, we got the proper Pikachu. How's it going? Audio is good? Well, thank you. Good to see you. It's been a while. Yo, what's up, Pokefan? I'm just gonna be real. I gave this episode a 5-6 because it was a slog fest. So yeah, just want to let you know. Yeah, I'll be real. I don't know how long we'll be going today because this is one of those episodes where there's not really a whole lot to talk about. And then the next episode, not really a whole lot to talk about either. So, and we don't really know anything beyond the Entei episode. So, and we know that we're having a break at the end of this month. So, it's gonna be a little bit of. We're going to be kind of dry on Pokemon Horizons content for a little bit here. I do have some things that I'm going to probably be focusing on in the interim, though. I still need to make that Spinel video. I wanted to work on it this week, but I was kind of overly tired, so I just took a break this week. So, I had a few ideas for something else, too, so at least we got all that promotion. Yep. Still be a little while before we get anything new. I wouldn't be surprised if we get something here, like a poster for like what we're gonna be getting in January, basically January through probably March or something, which will kind of round out the rest of Rayquaza Rising arc. It's kind of hard to say where we go from here, because like if we get Entei in episode 78, then well. Anyone's guess what's going to be happening after that. At least, yep. Well, starter promotion, yep. we could be seeing something regarding that in the future. Maybe the poster will hint at something. The next poster for the second half of this arc. Maybe. Giving Gideon a motive for being so obsessed with recruiting would be nice. We wouldn't need much. Maybe Gideon could be a failed scientist who was tempted by recruiting's power and how famous it would make him. Yeah, I will say, real quick, I kind of want to know a little bit more about, like, what the Requiem is exactly. Like, Rikua is a Pokemon paradise, but it just so happens to host this, like, really, like, dangerous crystals that literally cause Pokemon to go feral and increase their power and speed. Not to mention, it seems to have a negative effect on humans. Probably why Gibeon's still alive to this day. He probably got way too much Requiem, and now he's just like, I need more of that. But it's basically rendered him immortal. Or something, I don't know. But yeah, I will say it does come off a little bit like, oh, he just suddenly is just like obsessed with it and wants to, you know, use it or something for his own exploits or something. But I get it. You know, a motive would be cool. Maybe we'll get that in the future. It does kind of feel like the Requiem is kind of influencing him in a negative sense. Kind of similar to how, like, in Sun and Moon with Lusamine being affected by the Ultra Beast toxins. It caused her to basically, you know, become obsessive. Kind of similar in that vein, but, you know, a little different. Someone actually has an interesting theory that the Entei they find is going to end up just being a pure random wild one, and after that bombshell is when Rayquaza shows up to test them. Oh. That'd be kind of quick. I kind of feel like Rayquaza, well, based on the pacing of like each chapter of Pokemon Horizons, I feel like we're kind of building up to, like, you know, us finding Rayquaza, because I feel like we're going to get Entei, and it's going to be like, okay, we got 5 out of the 6 heroes, and all we need is, like, Rayquaza at this point. Where in the world is Rayquaza? You know, this would be the perfect opportunity to go to, you know, Hoenn and Metzinia and learn a little bit more about Rayquaza, you know. You know, I will say, I will be a little bit overly happy if we get that, though. Still a little bit of a stretch, but yeah, one can hope, right? Megastone X, what's going on? How's it going? How are you doing today? Yeah, I kind of went. I didn't realize I went past the 5-minute mark here, so we're gonna go ahead and start the summary here in a second. It's gonna be a short summary because obviously this, like I said, this episode's a little bit more just basic compared to like previous week's episode. Not really a whole lot to talk about, to be honest, but yeah. So, I'll resume in the chat here shortly, but I'm going to give my summary of this episode. So, leaving off where last week's episode ended, Freed actually reaches out to his former comrade in the Rising Volt Tacklers, Sohdayo, who has a Wynot as his partner. The dude's a journalist, and it turns out, you know, that a culture magazine or book that Dot came across back at the Orange Academy, or yeah, the Academy in Paldea. Yeah, apparently he writes for that, so that's kind of neat. A little bit of continuity there, kind of just connecting the dots to kind of where the world building is going in this series. So that's cool. Yeah, everybody has kind of some things to say about this guy, but Mollie in particular doesn't really care for him. As it turns out, when we actually do meet him, yeah, the dude kind of just exaggerates a ton. We're at some random savannah. I'm not really sure exactly where we're at. It's not specified. Definitely not Kitakami anymore. So my only guess is it's probably Paldea or something. That's the only thing I can go off of, because we got a Espathra later in the episode, so... But, like, the Ferrig Giraffe, or however you say its name, it's technically found in Blueberry Academy in the game, so I guess we'll just assume it's Paldea, I guess, I don't know. But anyways, Liko, Roy, and Dot end up coming across an oasis in the savannah, and end up angering, Ferrig Giraffe. I hate how its name is. But anyways, they managed to fend it off, and that's when we met Sohdayo. So he we just get kind of introduced to the guy, and it's kind of just, like I said, he likes to exaggerate things, so the kid's like, oh my gosh. And Frig Giraffe was introduced in the base Scarlet and Violet games. Okay, sorry. Probably just me remembering, excuse me. Thank you for that, Pokefan. Can always count on you. Anyways, where was I? I think it's funny because whenever they try to ask Sohdayo something, he just stops them. He's like, wait, I know what you guys want to hear. You want to hear some of my stories from when I was in the Rising Voltaclers. Here's some facts about everybody. You know, I like how he exaggerates everything, but he also mentions that Ludlow is got an iron body. So they go and they look at him, and they're like, the kids are like, yeah, no. And that was literally their proof of being okay, yeah, this guy's kind of full of it. But we end up learning a little bit about Mollie and what she used to look like. And then Mollie sends Sohdayo blasting off again. Well, we can presume that she's done this before to him. A little nod to Team Rocket there, so that was kind of nice. But the main thing is that we end up going back to that oasis because Sohdayo is actually kind of curious about it. But it turns out there's actually some fight over the territory where the oasis is at between the Frig Giraffe and Espathra. And literally Mollie comes and saves the day from some falling rocks with the kids freed, and Sohdayo about to be crushed by some rocks, but Chansey comes in and saves the day. But it turns out there's actually some rock that was blocking the water in the oasis, so they end up breaking it. It's freed, so they're all chill now. But by the end of the episode, they finally get to ask Sohdayo about Entei, which he basically tells them, yeah, it was rumored to be seen in Olivine City and Johto, so we're off to Johto. Didn't make it to Johto in this episode, but we have Why Not here. Evolves in the Wobbuffet Johto Pokemon, so a little bit of a hint there. And I also like the little hint that the next episode is going to be Ludlow focused. Also, the episode ends with Sohdayo actually publishing his findings from the savannah with the Frig Giraffe and Espathra. And the kids actually make it in there. Even though Dot was kind of like, I don't really want to be a part of this. But, it seems like Dot is actually showing some more growth here, because it seems like Dot didn't fully mind it at the end, but hey, shows she's coming out of her shell more and more. But yeah, that's pretty much the episode. Not really a remarkable episode. I do like certain things. I like the fact that Mollie's past was shown off a little bit here, and kind of how she used to look like. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like her old look. I mean, I like her current look, but I do like her younger look. And I like how she was very naive. Kind of shows that she's grown a little bit. So that's good. That's one thing I did like in the episode. I do kind of wish we got more of it, so hopefully we'll get an episode further down the road, which maybe develops her a little bit better. This was a little nice tease to something like that potentially happening in the future. I do like the connections. I do like the fact that it's a former Rising Voltacler member. And then he writes for that Occulture book that we saw in the Academy. That's a good connection. Like I said, good world building there. But overall, the episode is not really special. I'd probably say this is probably my least favorite episode of this arc so far. Just because it kind of just feels like they're padding out time. They showed off, Pokemon. A new Pokemon, Frig Giraffe, and had some connections here and there, but I just feel like this episode was kind of just a very average episode in my opinion. Some good stuff, just a lot of just meh. I just kind of just felt it was just... It just feels like they're just padding out time to, build up to, like, an Entei eventually. It's kind of like that episode back in Chapter 2 with the old guy, like, stealing the ancient Pokeball. That whole episode kind of had a similar vibe to that episode when it comes to padding. But yeah. So yeah, to me, I'd say this is like a 5 out of 10 episode. But that's just me. So, probably should get caught back up on the chat, and I knocked over my mic immediately when I said that. Sorry, guys. Oh my gosh, I just realized where we are. The Great Value Safari Zone. My theory is that we are going through the story so fast because then we could have Gibby and the Explorers show up and beat them up. It would be an opportunity for Gibby and the rival attacker character growth. I'm going to be completely honest. I just thought about this the other night. I wouldn't be surprised if we get like a Blueberry Academy arc after this. And here's what I mean, guys. I feel like we might end up getting Rayquaza at the end of this arc, but hear me out. But we have to find where Rayquaza is, so that we do research or something like that, and they're trying to kind of figure things out, which eventually might take us to Area Zero too. But I feel like we might go to Blueberry Academy. And that's where we're going to meet Kieran, and then we're going to do that for a little bit and do a little bit more training. That might be where we get every starter fully evolved by then, and all the characters have their Pokemon fully evolved. Could lead us to go to Area Zero, too, at the end of it, and Kieran, and Carmen, or whoever accompanies us. Maybe Arvin, because he really needs to do something. Since he didn't really do anything when he showed up, when he did back in episode 67. He just appeared. He showed us that he exists. But I wouldn't be surprised if, like, while we're trying to figure out where Rayquaza is at, we end up going to Blueberry Academy for a little bit. And then we go to Area Zero or something. And then the final arc is, like, Rayquaza focused. I don't know. It's just a thought that came into my mind the other day. Who knows, though. Frigdra. Okay, I already read that. You're good. If only they knew. Mollie's Chansey be carrying Evilite for how strong it is. Then again, Brock's Blissey was cracked as a Happiny. So yeah, that is true. It's interesting how small teams and Horizons have been compared to previous Pokemon animes. I mean, yes and no. I mean, I kind of look at Sun and Moon, and like most of the characters either had 1 or 2 Pokemon besides Ash. And then Serena only had 3, so, But then other characters like Dawn and May have a full team, so yeah. I get your point. Yesterday someone told me Rare Pokemon Fan L. This was the best episode of Arc 4 we had, period. Way better than last week. Did I read that out right? We can have opinions, but how? Last week was peak. Lucy White, how's it going? How are you doing? Like how casually he mentioned Entei, like it's no big deal. Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, Entei, he's just over there in Johto. You should probably go there and check it out. It might be roaming though. So good luck with that. Last week was a 9 out of 10 for me. Almost perfect, but not there yet. Yeah, I'm kind of in between 9 and 10. I don't think it's my favorite episode of Horizons, but it's definitely the most, important when it comes to the story. I do agree that, when I think about it in hindsight, I do think that I kind of want to see more from Gibby and kind of, why he's so obsessed with the Requiem, whether it's an actual motivation or, just the Requiem is influencing him in a negative sense. Not really sure. But you didn't really get the impression that the dude was like trying to do something beforehand. He probably didn't even know about the recruitment in the first place. So, like I said, hopefully we'll get some more information in the future. I find it pretty funny how everyone complained that no header on this episode when she shows up for 1 second. Oh. Dang it. Once again, the secondary Pokemon take another L. I'm starting to kind of get a little frustrated again with them. Because they're just not being shown off and not being used lately. At least we got Tinkatink evolving to Tinkatuff this arc. That's at least something, I guess. Me, when Kieran shows up, loses my mind like SpongeBob did in the beginning of movie 1 when he thought he got manager. Oh, yep. Well, don't let Patrick show up and ruin the whole thing. Or Squidward becomes manager. My biggest nitpick from the last episode was the fact that Liko's great-grandma just says, "We are out of sea, so I forgot." When they ask where Rakua is, like, why can't she even say where they departed from? I feel like they purposely left that out. Otherwise, it would have been like, okay, we could just like figure it out from there. That's why I'm saying is like I feel like even if we get Rayquaza at the end of this arc, I don't think we're going like right to Rakua, because it's pretty clear that it's going to be a little difficult figuring out where to go from here. Diana's probably doing her own research to kind of dig up some clues as to where she might be able to pinpoint where it's at. The thing that is kind of a little bit odd is that, like, hey, we're in modern times. It kind of makes sense, like, 100 years ago that, like, they couldn't really find Rakua easily, but, you know, times have changed. We have technology now compared to back then, presumably, in the Pokemon world. So, might be a little bit easier to track down these days. But yeah. You think they'd be like, oh, we found this random, like, Pokemon paradise in the middle of nowhere here in the ocean. But yeah, Diana's probably going to do her research. That's why I feel like we might not go right into Rakua after this. I feel like a Blueberry Academy arc and Area Zero arc could precede this. Maybe they go to Area Zero to be like, hey, let's do a little bit more digging on Terrapagos before we go to Rakua. Kind of just, figure out its origin and stuff like that, That'd be cool. Yeah, because I kind of feel like, I do have something there's a video I might potentially make about the Kitakami portion of this arc. My big issue is that Carmen kind of just got extremely underutilized, which makes me think that she's definitely going to be showing up again later on. You don't, like, tease that she's going to be showing up here and then you just have one episode of her and she doesn't even interact with the kids. So there's got to be a little bit more going on here, And that's what leads us to the Blueberry Academy. Look, I'm coping over here, guys. I'm really hoping that Carmen will actually lead us there. Probably not at this point, but hey, one can hope. One thing I liked about this episode is when I still hate its name. Farrig Giraffe and Espathra were drinking the water hole. They're actually drinking in the position like a real giraffe and ostrich. Yeah, it's a little neat detail. Shows they're doing their homework. That's one of the only plot holes in the anime so far. Yeah, that's the only thing is, like, I kind of just feel like they were kind of pressed for time and they couldn't be like, oh, we're not going to tell you where it's at, but we eventually found it. They did that on purpose, because otherwise we could have went right to Rakua, after getting the heroes. Be like, oh, what? We know where it's at, let's go. No need to just mess around and, like, Sinnoh for, like, no reason, you know? At least we're going to Johto, though. We missed out on Sinnoh, but hey, we're going to Johto at least, right? At least that makes up for something, you know? Even if we're only in Johto for a couple of episodes, it's kind of nice. Such a weird thing to comment on, but being an animal nature lover, I appreciate when Pokemon gets our natural world stuff right. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Speaking of Tinkertuff, I honestly... She just passed away from neglecting her ball. I honestly think she just passed away from neglecting her ball. Dang. Dot, what have you done? You were my favorite character, now I don't like you anymore. Okay, anyways. Trying to think what else I got. See, the thing about it is this episode and next week's episode in particular, there's not really anything too crazy going on. It's just, you know, this episode was... It exists. Next week's episode, though, I will say, even though it's, you know, not a super important one, we're getting the backstory of Mighty G. I just still think it's funny in this episode where, Sohdayo was like, hey, you know, Ludlow has a body of steel. It doesn't look like it, but he's got a body of steel. And the kids go to there, and that's what caused them to be like, yeah, this guy is just making stuff up. Because there's no way. The dude over here is clearly an old man that just fishes all day. Little do they know that the hero known as Mighty G has been hanging out with them this whole time. And we're gonna see Mighty G's backstory. Interesting dude surfs. I guess it kind of makes sense, though. The second one's really getting shafted like usual. Yep, that's pretty much the norm at this point. It's kind of why I'm like, ugh. Yeah, and technically Liko has a third Pokemon in Terapagos now. And Terapagos technically didn't appear in this episode, but for obvious reasons. Sohdayo would have exposed that to the entire world, knowing him. So they would have caused a lot of problems. So I get that. But technically Terapagos is kind of like, you know, the centerpiece to everything that's going on here. So, you know, it kind of carries its own weight there. I'm not expecting it to do like a whole lot in battle and stuff, at least not until it like gets its full powers or whatnot. But hey, Heterim could, you know, at least do something. You know, Kilowattrel could at least do something. Tinkertuff could at least do something. It's always the starters that get, like, all the focus, and they just appear all the time. This is why I'm like, ugh. If Roy and Dot get another Pokemon, please don't let it just stay in the ball all the time. Like, do something with it. I've already kind of made my point clear. I already made a whole video about it, but kind of was hopeful that this arc would, you know, start to treat them a little bit better. There was some signs that it was kind of going in the right direction, but, you know, hey. Guess I was not right. Hopefully they'll get some good focus in the future. Heterim and Tinkertuff have one more evolution in them, so hopefully they get some proper screen time before they potentially evolve again. Just saying. Doesn't the Pokemon world have GPS tech? I mean, they have planes and stuff, so why can't they just use that to find Rikua unless there's some extra element to Rikua's location? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. They got their phone apps too, which seems to, give them a map of the area they're in. So they pretty much have everything they need. The only thing I can say is I mean, we're kind of going into like, fantasy stuff here, but like it could be like sealed off or something. And maybe having all the heroes alongside like Terapagos is what, unseals it or something. I don't know, it's a little generic, but like kind of hard to say what they're going to do and how we're going to be introduced to Rakuo. Don't really know yet. Guess we'll find out soon enough, right? Also notice how this episode was the first in a long while that Terapagos had taken a back seat. My fear is more than likely coming true that now Terapagos will be treated just like the second monster or Pokemon. Yeah, I mean, I still have mixed feelings on that capture just because it's like it happened 50 episodes after it first appeared, really. Likos had the pendant the whole time, and I kind of get like I'm like fine with its capture, just because I'm just like, okay, it makes sense because it comes from her family, so it's like passing it down. So in that sense, it makes sense. But like, is she gonna use it in battle? Like like what's gonna happen when this series ends? Like when we go to Rakuo, because I have a slight feeling that Terapagos is going to stay behind in Rakuo with the hero Pokemon and Lucius. I have a strong feeling that might be the case in what happens, but hey, maybe it decides to go with Liko at the end. Who knows? But like, are we gonna see it battling a ton? Probably not. Not until it gets its full powers. So yeah, we'll see. But the main battler is literally the starter Pokemon for each of the characters. At least they're not weak anymore. That's at least a good thing, right? Wish the starters would succumb to toxic or something, and an episode in the second month have to go on a quest with the kids to find medicine to cure them. That'd be interesting. See, the thing about it is you could actually like come up with an episode with them and utilize them. It doesn't need to be like the starters all the time. That's like my one big nitpick with this series is like whenever like there's battles going on, like for the most part it's just the characters using their starters, which look, I know it's their starter Pokemon, but you have another Pokemon, like use them. Once in a while just use them. You don't really get to see the other Pokemon in action a ton. And I get that Hatena obviously wasn't a battler, but now it's a Heterim, And seeing as it's beat up a couple Pokemon pretty easily, you'd think that it'd be utilized, here and there, but it's always just Florgato that's, stealing the show. I just wish they would utilize their secondary Pokemon a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Even just a little bit would be good. I'm a Sohdayo Mollie shipper now. Okay, so like I did have some thoughts about that. It's clear that like there's something going on there, despite the fact that Mollie seems to hate him. I think she's just kind of got frustrated with him and like all his exaggerations, obviously, and that's kind of rubbed her the wrong way over time. But like I liked at the end of the episode where she's like, he wasn't lying in that instance when he was talking about Entei, because why not basically like says its name in like a calm fashion right after he says something, it pretty much means he's telling the truth, which is interesting that she would catch on to something like that. And she seemed to actually be kind of okay with him at the end, but like I kind of got to me I kind of got the vibe that they were like exes. That's what the vibe I was going in this episode, but not really. But yeah, I can kind of see it a little bit. I'm not really into shipping these days just because shipping is like can be extremely toxic, especially in Pokemon. I've seen several different instances in the past, especially with a certain ship that was really popular during Kalos. Yeah, we don't like to go back to those times just because people were very unhinged in those days. Just saying. But yeah, I do see something there between these two. I doubt it's going to be developed any further though, but like I see it a slight bit. But I also get the vibe that I almost get the vibe that they're exes too, so there's also that. Rakua could be in the Bermuda Triangle situation where nobody really knows what's inside. Plus, Terapagos did seal it off with its power, so I don't know. That is true. That's why I'm saying it's like it's possible that the reason why nobody knows where it's at or can find it is because the only one that can unlock where it's at is Terapagos. Pocket Monsters, Liko and Roy's Adventure OST. Hey, what's going on? Welcome in. I'm glad we got to see Florgato, Hatterem, Terapagos together in that one scene. But I wish we could see them interact more. Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm kind of hoping that since we're on the ship now, we get to see the Pokemon more, regularly. Like, even though they weren't, like, my favorite episodes, but the episodes where we kind of were, like, on the ship and, like, doing random things and you kind of run into the Pokemon that are on the ship, those are always nice. And that's kind of a way to, like, showcase all the Pokemon and kind of just have them all just hanging out. Kind of like in Sun and Moon. Like, even if a Pokemon in Sun and Moon, like, from Ash's team wasn't, like, a focus, they were, like, hanging out. They were present. They were eating food and stuff and playing in the background, Why can't we have that here? The fact Kilo has one win and Hatterem and Tinkaton only have like a few wild wins, otherwise 0 trainer wins. Yeah. See the problem there? We could probably actually, do some more with that, but, it's always just the starter Pokemon that are getting the focus. We need to, like, actually kind of not do that. Whatever series follows Pokemon Horizons, my one hope for it is that they don't do this again with the starters. Like, actually, if you have other Pokemon, develop them, show them off, do something with them. I know we have a large cast of characters in the series, and that's probably why we have, like, a smaller team for each of the characters, but yet still, come on now. You can at least show them off. Honestly, I'm disappointed with Mollie. Why she didn't grab repels for that cave? Those Zubat were the stuff of nightmares? Look, she was very naive back then. She was very naive and new. And her senior, by 2 days, literally told her that to go there. So, being naive and very young and impressionable, she went out and messed around. Well, so to say, messed around and found out. I also found out that the dude kind of just makes up a lot of stuff or exaggerates stuff. So, to quote Serenata Channy from when I went to Comic-Con this year, Ash is a kid. Bro's least concern is dating. And that's how it should be. Exactly. Oh, okay. Think about it this way. When you were 10 years old, were you thinking about dating or stuff like that? Probably not. I was going to say when I was a kid, I was just obsessed with Zelda and Pokemon, so... When I was 10, it was literally Zelda and Pokemon. My 2 favorite things at the time. I didn't care about that stuff. Wasn't really something I was interested in at that time. Like I said, Zelda Pokemon, I was like, yay. Speaking of Zelda. Okay, computer, don't give me random updates while I'm streaming. So yeah, ships in Pokemon, unless it's appropriately built upon, like in the Gen 3 manga between May and Brandon. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, I kind of don't really again, I don't really take like ships in Pokemon seriously, because like, let's just be real. I'm not trying to like trash on Pokemon or anything, but like 90% of the time it's not really like fully developed. Or developed really well. And you can imply certain things from it, but yeah. Not really Pokemon's focus. I didn't really get into Pokemon to suddenly get into romance, you know. There's Sohdayo for that stuff. I couldn't resist the repel and Zubat, yeah. Well, yeah, that's what you did back in the day, because random encounters, you know, are fine, but like when you get random encounters like every 5 minutes or 5 seconds, and it's a freaking Zubat, it kind of gets a little bit on your nerves. Unless you're trying to, like, you know, level up your rock Pokemon. Yeah, try going through Mount Moon and Pokemon Red and Blue without repels. Good luck, yo. Might have a little bit of a frustrating time. TNT Dynamite, hey, what's going on? Welcome in. How are you doing? When there be another tragedy in Rikua, in regard to Freed in the opening. Or you mean, will there be another tragedy? Like, did something happen when we go to Rikua? I don't know. You know, that's kind of one thing that, you know, when you bring it up in that regard, you know, what would be kind of interesting is, you know, we kind of saw what the Rikurium did to Gibeon. What if that happened to one of the Rising Voltaculars? Specifically someone like Freed. Let's just say that he came in contact with the Rikurium and it basically caused him to change and become obsessed with it himself. Wouldn't that be kind of interesting if Liko, Roy, and Dot had to face up against him? Though hopefully Captain Pikachu and Charizard wouldn't be under that spell. I know there's been rumors going around that Freed is going to betray the Rising Voltaculars, but like, it should also be said that those leaks kind of turned out to not be true, so just saying. When I was that age, I was attracted to my Skyla full art card, if that counts. Oh, okay. Interesting. I mean, it is Skyla. I really liked last week's episode. Me too. And hey, if people like ships, more power to them. I just personally think it's not necessary for this franchise. I also kind of embarrassed that it was my friend who asked Sarah about her thoughts on Ash ships. I just sat here like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Another thing too is like I'm not trying to like, you know, downplay like voice actors, actresses, or whatever, but like they're kind of, you know, you know, they're voicing the characters. They're kind of doing the job. It's kind of more of the job of like, you know, the writers to kind of flesh out like what the characters are like and who they might be romantically into, if that's like a thing. But the VAs do bring them to life, so it's kind of like 1-2 thing. But like, she doesn't really have a say in like which character is hooking up with with which character, you know. This interestingly turned into a shipping discussion. Was not expecting that in this this stream. I remember back in the anipoke community, back in like 2014, 15, 16 era, where people would do a certain ship that shall not be named discussion videos and streams all the time. Different times, that's for sure. Anyways, enough about ships. Do you guys have anything else regarding this episode or the next week's episode? Okay, actually, I got something for y'all. For anyone that wants to participate. I know there's probably some lurkers out there since we have 10 people here. What's up? How's it going? Thank you for joining. Remember to vote and hit that like button. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Is 10, 9, and 8, 7 really winning this? This episode? Okay. Interesting. Gonna post something funny in anipoke, not ship related. Yeah, go right ahead. You can either do it in anipoke or memes. Either or. If it falls more on the anipoke side, anipoke. If it falls more on a meme side, memes. But it's up to you. Anyways, yeah, because I'm kind of wondering what's going to happen next, now that we're going into a new year. Speaking of which, it's going to be 2025 in a couple weeks. Isn't that scary, guys? How'd this year go by so fast? Feels like it was just yesterday that this series started, and it's been, going on 2 years. So, like, well, time flies, I swear. Next thing I know, it's going to be like Gen 20, and I'm going to be like, hey guys, welcome to another Rachel Mander stream. I'm still alive. Let's talk about how unsustainable the Rise of Tackler ship is. They're powering that thing fully with coal and spewing it into the atmosphere 24/7. Yeah. But the thing about it is that ship has had problems. They've had problems here and there. They've also had money issues too, so they've kind of brought that up a couple times. So it's not exactly just flying infinitely in the air all the time. It's been 2 years. Well, almost 2 years. It will be 2 years in April. I know, right? Well, the 1 year anniversary for the series was really when Thrastal debut started. But yeah, in about 4 months, it will be 2 years since Horizon's debut. That's crazy, dude. Tyrese, how's it going? Welcome in. If I recall, the leaks were real about Freed. It was just the original idea that got scrapped. The thing that wasn't was the VA drama between Ash and Pikachu's VA. Well, is it? Was that confirmed? Because the thing about it is the person that was spreading all these supposed leaks, the vast majority of it turned out to be like lies and just fake information. Because I was going to say, like the thing that always kind of got me about the leaks was that this is supposedly Game Freak. How is the anime tied to it? Because the anime is done by like a different company and studio, I heard that Pokemon Horizon was supposed to be a movie rather than a full-on series, though. But I don't know if that's, like, real or not. Celebi hit the accelerator. Gas pedal on his car without realizing, and when he looked up, wasn't... Oh. I wish I could censor myself. It's December. Nice. Are we allowed to talk about the leaks here? Light discussion. Like I said, most of it turned out to be not true, so at this point you'd be talking about a lot of stuff that was misinformation. But how did you like this episode? I thought it was an okay episode. For me, it's nothing like too special. Like, there are some things I did like in the episode, but like it's kind of one of those like okay-ish episodes to me. For me, it's fine. I just, like I said earlier, I kind of want to see more of Mollie's past. This kind of felt like a tease because it was like, oh, we got to see a younger version of Mollie, but I kind of want to see a little bit more. Like, I want to know about her family life because we know little bits and pieces here that like about her, but it'd be nice if we go somewhere and then she runs on the family and then we get like some backstory, proper backstory, with like scenes and stuff. That's kind of what I'm looking for. But like, I liked how Mollie was like in the past. Definitely not what I would expect her to be, but kind of shows how much she's matured since then. As for the location, I think they just like to make up locations to show Paldea Pokemon without being in Paldea. Yeah, I don't really know exactly where they were. That's the thing, is I don't know where it would be at, but yeah, that's the only thing I can think of is it's just anime original locations and they're not specifying. But the time skip leak hasn't been fully deconfirmed yet, right? There has been no there's been no confirmation on that though. I mean, it would be kind of neat if like a time skip occurred at the end of the series. Like it'd be very unexpected. I'd be down for it, but like I kind of feel like a time skip is kind of just wishful thinking in Pokemon. I'm still watching for that leaked scene of Mitchell to show up at the back, up in the background. Where's that in the anime team? Yeah, where is Mitchell? I want him to come back. That's me. A little upset that I wasn't called to go and voice the character, but hey, kudos to the dub VA. Mitchell voicing Mitchell, if only. The time skip is alleged to happen after the 6 heroes are found. We just have to wait. Yeah, like I said, I'm kind of in that, like, I'll see it, I'll believe it when I see it kind of thing, just because, well, this is Pokemon, hey. Ash was 10 years old from the beginning of the series till he left. And you're telling me he explored all these regions, then did all this region hopping with Go, and also freed... had a baby. Freed and Burnett had a baby, and Ash is still 10 after all this. Like, come on now. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Not saying it's not gonna happen. I mean, that would, like I said, it'd be kind of neat. It'd be very unexpected for Pokemon to do something like that. But like, it's, again, I will believe it when I see it. When I get like a leak, a proper, like, not leak, but like magazine or whatever, scans would be like, oh, 2 years have passed. This is what's going on with Liko and the Rising Voltaclers, and this is what we all look like now, you know? I don't know how I feel about a time skip. If it happens, I'd like that what we're about to rush the Hatterene and Tinket Tough evolutions off screen. That's where I'm just like, If there's gonna be a time skip, it'd probably be at the very end of the series. Kukui and Burnett. Freed and Burnett. Did I say Freed and Burnett? You know what I meant. Yeah, rip Kukui. She found out he was Mask Royal, and like she's just like, I can't handle this. Hooks up with Freed. My bad. You know who I meant. To be honest, I wish the arcs had more thematic themes, tying them together. I felt like the Terrestrial debut was the only arc that felt like an actual arc. I can kind of see where you're coming from there. I feel like the series started out fine. It was chapter 2 kind of where things kind of got a little bit like, I don't want to say dull, but like it kind of just it stagnated a little bit, which is why I felt like Terrestrial Course really breathed life back into the series. It was very much a necessary arc, not to mention that the characters really needed the training. It was long overdue at that point. But yeah, this arc, it kind of feels like we've kind of gone back to obviously the style that we had before, but it feels a little different. I don't know. I have some thoughts on the Kitakami episodes, which I might be making a video on next week or so. Some mixed feelings about it. But, yeah, it kind of feels like Terrestrial Course from start to finish was their training arc, the kids' training arc. And it kind of ended off on a proper note, honestly. Still hoping that Liko has that rematch with Grusha, though. Or Katie. I still think that, like, before, like, if we're going to Area Zero, it'd be nice if, like, Katie's like, hey, Liko, I want to test you and see if you're ready to go to Area Zero now or something, and Liko ends up winning this time. That'd be cool. But yeah, I get your point, Therese. It does feel like Terrestrial debut felt like a full-on, like, actual arc. I can get that. Like I said, the series started out just fine. It was like an intro to like what the series was about. But yeah, I get it. So kind of sad story, but the other day one of my friends said she ain't really interested in Horizons no more. Her reason, which I can respect, is because Roy isn't getting proper focus and it's all about Liko and the ancestors, which she hates. I will say, I kind of don't really care for the fact that this series is marketed as like a dual protagonist series. But it's pretty clear that Liko is the main protagonist. She's basically the chosen one. And everything that's going on, like Terapagos, Lucius, like the explorers, like the Rising Bolt Tacklers, it's kind of like revolves around her. Whereas Roy kind of feels like... yeah, it's pretty clear that Roy kind of is here to kind of represent like the, you know, male fan base of the Pokemon anime or whatever demographic. And I kind of get that, like, he, like, you know, he was like, you know, inspired by Lucius and stuff like that. That's cool. And he had the ancient Pokeball, which basically connects with the pendant, but like there's like no special connection there. Like his grandpa's like, "Oh, I just found that Pokeball on the beach one day. I just kept it." And that was literally the only reason Roy was like kind of brought in here. And yeah, and Dot is like literally still considered a side character, despite the fact that she is way more prominent in the series than like Koharu Chloe was on the prior series. But like it is pretty clear at this point that like Roy's focus is less than, you know, it's lesser than Liko's. It's unfortunate. I actually like Roy. one of the things that I was worried about going into Horizons was that I was not going to like Roy, and I was just going to be annoyed by him. And while he does have some annoying moments, overall I like him. I just wish that like he actually, you know, kind of, you know, mattered to the story a little bit more, if that makes sense. Like if he ends up actually getting Rayquaza, like that would be kind of like a big deal, you know. But yeah. To her, Lucius and the hero Pokemon Liko and her journey is boring. Roy and Rayquaza. No, that's what she wants. Roy is just here because he wants to technically steal an already caught and owned Pokemon. That's literally all he wants to do, but just without being evil. I mean, granted, let's be real. Lucius technically is like, you know, supposed to be, you know, 6 feet under, so to say. But, like, he's probably alive because of the Raccourium. He's trapped there. It's probably what's keeping him alive over there in Bracua. So, for all we know, he could be like, hey, you know what, Roy, you can have my Rayquaza. Which I'm kind of starting to wonder if that's going to be a thing. Because, again, I feel like those hero Pokemon are going to stay in Bracua. But, which would kind of, you know, not be so good for Roy. Because, like, you know, Go's whole goal in Journeys was to capture, you know, Mew. And, well, that didn't really happen. He had Mew in his hand for, like, a couple seconds. So, like, you know, if Roy doesn't get... Like, if Roy caught... Like, let's just say Roy catches Rayquaza only to give it up at the end, it would kind of, I don't know. It would have to be written in a way that's good, though, whereas Roy kind of accepts it or something. But, I don't know. That's kind of like the whole thing that's driving Roy right now is Rayquaza. And he wants to capture it. So... Like, Liko, on the other hand, has all this other stuff going on for her. So she's not kind of, like... You know, she's not hinging on that, specifically. Roy is. So... It just makes me worried. One of my things I've been kind of stressing for a while now is that, since Horizons is more story-based and plot-based, the series absolutely hinges on its story. And while I think the story has been solid despite a few hiccups here and there, if this ending does not land for, like, not only the story but the characters, it could seriously hurt the series' reputation in the end. So I'm really, really, really hoping for, like, a good ending and a proper, like, conclusion for, like, everything once we get to the end of Horizons. For, like, the characters, for the Pokemon, and yeah, our main characters especially. I just hope that when we get to the end, when we get to the finish line, you know, everything, you know, makes sense, you know. I'm not going to be upset at the end, you know. I want a satisfying conclusion once we get to the finish line, you know. That's kind of why I was hoping that Roy would get, like, another goal besides Rayquaza. I need to go back and review my video I made last year and what I wanted to see from Horizons in 2024. Because there's a few things I remember I brought up in that video I think that came true, but some that didn't. Like, I was kind of hoping that Roy would develop another type of goal besides, like, Rayquaza. And originally it was like, hey, let's go and train in, like, a gym leaders all across the world or something. So I was kind of hoping maybe we'd get, like, another goal outside of what he's already aiming for. Kind of like how Go got Project Mew. I mean, we're not going to have Project Rayquaza, but something similar would be nice. Maybe Roy's thing would have to be to accept he can't get what he wants, and he sees how much Rayquaza misses Lucius, so he selflessly accepts to let Rayquaza stay because he's already found his treasure. AKA Crocodile the bird and his new family. You know, that's actually good. Pokefan. I actually kind of like that. That would actually be good. You know, he gets Rayquaza. We'll just say he gets it, but then at the end he has to kind of accept that, hey, you know, at the end of the day, you know, after learning everything, you know, technically this Pokemon, you know, existed like 100 years ago. And, you know, wants to be at peace, wants to be with Lucius. They just want to all be in peace now in Rikua or whatever. So, him accepting that would actually be really good. That'd actually be really mature. If you think about it. You know, accepting that. Yeah, he might, you know, be emotional, but he accepts it. That actually would be good character development. You know, that you bring up a really great point, or a Pokefan. I actually would be down for something like that. And then, you know, following it, he comes up with a new goal. Like, he's got his family, but then he becomes a new goal. He gets a new goal or whatever. It could be, you know, exploring the rest of the world on his own or something. You know, he sets off on his own Pokemon journey. And develops his own new goal, whatever it is. Whether it is to just, you know, keep exploring or whatnot. That'd be interesting. I don't know. I am kind of curious to see kind of where things are going to end off here, because obviously once the whole Rikua, Lucius, you know, Hero Pokemon Explorer thing kind of wraps up, we're all going to probably go our separate ways. I'm curious to see kind of what the Raisin Voltaclers are going to do too. Like, I know Liko, Roy, and presumably Dot are probably going to leave, but like, makes you wonder, like, you know, is Freed, Mollie, Orla, Ludlow, Murdoch gonna keep traveling together? Or could they all go do their own thing at the end too? Who knows? Maybe they just keep traveling and the kids, you know, are the ones that, you know, separate. Definitely putting this at the end of my fanfic now. You know, it would be really interesting at the end of the series. We see Dot decide to go on her own journey, you know. And that's when she retires the Nido thing or whatever. She could actually come out and, like, you know... I think we mentioned this in the previous stream where we're like, you probably, like... Besides, like, her going out and exploring the world herself, for herself, she ends up, you know, her character development comes full circle when she, like, does her face reveal. I'm just wondering what, like, everyone's, like, how everything's ending would be for everyone. Like, Liko could decide to maybe take on the Paldean League or whatever, you know. And it kind of just shows it to her, you know, attempting it or something, and, like, screenshots at the end. Roy going out to do his own thing, you know, accepting that Rayquaza is with Lucius, and, you know, he's got to, you know, find a new goal or something. And then Dot going off on her own, but before she does, she reveals to the world that she's Nido-thinged. You know, that actually might be good. Honestly, I can see Dot being a travel streamer with her Pokemon. That'd be cool. Yeah, that would actually be nice. And she says that she's going to do this from now on instead of like she was doing. She's like, now I'm going to do these type of streams. Or these type of videos or whatnot. I'm going to be traveling the world and, you know, showing you guys different things. It's going to be like the Pokemon version of like the Wild Thornberries from that old Nickelodeon show from the 90s. She's just going around. And this is a Pokemon in its natural habitat. That'd be something, wouldn't it? But yeah, I think that, like, I'm kind of curious about how this series is going to end. I just have concerns. I've seen how some Pokemon arcs have gone in the past with how they've ended, and it makes me a little nervous. So hopefully Horizons gives me a surprise. I gotta go now, chat, because I might be about to lose an account in an MMO I grinded for 550 hours, so wish me luck. Oh no! Well, hopefully you don't lose the account. That's a lot of time. So, good luck, Proper Pikachu. Hopefully you don't lose your account. Once again, thank you for joining. It was a pleasure. Hopefully we'll see you in the next one. You know, I kind of lost track. You know, I'm kind of shocked that 10-9 has 50% of the votes. How did that happen? Can we, like, meet halfway and say 7.5 at the end? Because, like, I don't see this episode as a 10 or 9. This is, like, a 5 or 6 at best. I guess some people like these type of episodes, you know. I mean, I don't mind them from time to time. I just think this one was kind of just, you know, alright. That's just my opinion, though. That's one man's take. Okay, well, I lost track of time. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm not gonna lie with this episode being the way it was, and next week's episode, you know, not having a whole lot else either besides Ludlow, seeing Ludlow in his younger days. There wasn't really a whole lot to talk about, but we managed to get this over an hour. So, yeah, interesting. I mean, that's kind of what we do here. We just have some pretty interesting conversations here. That's the whole point. But now that we're kind of over an hour in, you guys have anything else for me today? I won't lie, I actually had to even just accept myself that Roy might not get Rayquaza. That's kind of a tough pill to swallow. Because, like, dude, we just went through that with Go. And, like, I feel like him getting Mew was also, like, a huge stretch. But, like, we kind of got that tease, and then, you know, yeah. Still pretty upset about that, even 2 years later. But Rayquaza, man. I was gonna say, if Roy doesn't eventually get Rayquaza, at least capture it for a little bit. Like, I'm just gonna say this: next series, I don't want a main character being like, "I'm going to capture," you know. I'm going to get Arceus. He literally, like, created us all, so I want to capture him. That's my goal. And then at the end, they're just like, well, I can't capture Arceus. He's literally God, so probably be bad if I put him in a Pokeball. You know, it could probably, you know, cause some problems. Then again, you know, 11-year-olds and like mainline Pokemon games capture it in Diamond and Pearl, but like, don't ask how I know that knowledge. You get what I mean, though. I just don't. If this is the whole thing we're going for, it's just like, let's set some smaller goals, please, and not being like, I'm going to capture the legendary Pokemon of the region, and you can't stop me. And then at the end, well, I tried. As I was typing that possible ending, I want you to know what realistically that's the more mature option. Yeah. Yeah, that's my thing. Like, let Roy have it for a bit, and then when he realizes how kind of selfish it is to want to separate Pokemon, presumably a starter, from its trainer. Yeah, I understand. It's just, again, let's not, like, whatever the next series is, let's not do, I'm gonna go and capture the main legendary from the blah 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 region. I was gonna say, let's not do that. To be honest, I don't really know what type of series can actually follow up to Horizons, not gonna lie. I imagine it'll be different protagonists, but kinda hard to kinda imagine what could be next. And again, we don't even know when Gen 10's going to be out, so just hopefully we get, games that, perform well at launch. Just saying. Don't need to do that again. Why do I have 8 text messages on my phone? Once with Go was absurd. Twice with Roy, I think that's enough. Yeah, that's kind of why I'm just like, okay. All I have to say is I want, like, that scenario you came up with earlier, PokeFan. Like, if that happens with Roy, I will be totally fine with it. The problem with what happened with Go is it just was very much mishandled. Just didn't really feel like there was like an end goal for him. I just feel like they honestly, he was Pokemon Go the character, and that's not something that translates very well. Like, Pokemon Go is Pokemon Go. You can't really translate that very well to the anime. And have a character named frickin' Go throwing Pokeballs everywhere and catching Pokemon left and right. Use an Ultra Ball or something, dude. But yeah, that's just my point. It's just let's tone it down next series. No capturing the main legendary or a legendary. But now that I got that off my chest, you guys got anything else for me? Getting close to my lunchtime, and I haven't eaten today. Might need to eat soon. I know some people would absolutely hate that hypocritical ending with Roy and see that as a cop-out and go, that's so pointless and unnecessary, completely ignoring the maturity. See, that's the thing, is as long as he shows growth and acceptance and maturity there, then I think that it's fine. And before I go any further, this track is super loud. So I am turning that down. Because I was going to say, that thing was like overpowering my voice there. So, yeah. We'll just have to see how things play out. I'm still a little bit on the nervous side with how this series is going to end. I just hope for the best. Okay. But anyways, you got anything else for me? It's just you, me, and then I think 7 people. There's 9 of us here. I think that's a bit about it for me. Gotta go eat and work on my Christmas list. Huh. Speaking of which, I gotta actually do that. I literally, I'm always late every year when it comes to Christmas, so I might want to try and take care of all my stuff by next weekend. Be nice. Been fun like always, my dude. Yep, for sure. It's always a pleasure. Hope you have, hope your lunch tastes great. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, weekend. See you in the next one. We got 2 more episodes this year. So 2 more live discussions to go. But anyways, guys, with that said, I don't really have anything else. We can pretty much call it a day here. I am hungry, so I need to go get like Subway or something. That sounds pretty good. I'll probably do Subway. But yeah, we'll wrap the stream here. We got 14 votes, and I am kind of shocked that 10-9 won the poll. I'm sorry, guys. I just feel, to me, in my opinion, this was like maybe a 5 out of 10 episode. It has some moments that were pretty nice, but overall, to me, this one was just like your average Pokemon episode. Not filler though, but yeah, it was definitely average, in my opinion. So I'm gonna end the poll. Can we meet halfway and say 7.5, please? I'm willing to go there. But you guys said 9, 10, so I guess 9. Alrighty, guys. That's all I got for today's stream. We should be back to streaming this week normally. I took this week off mainly because I was tired. But this week we should be doing stuff. Still don't have it fleshed out yet, but I'll figure out something in the next day or so. So, anyways, y'all, that's it for today's stream. If you're here, thank you so much for joining. Have a great day or night wherever we're at. And I will see you all later. Bye now.